investing in that company. So it's like a double whammy of putting too many eggs in one basket. You need to stay diverse. Hi guys, welcome back to Money Talks. In case you're new here, my name's Ian. Investing in your employee stock plan is a bad idea. Here's why. So if you work at a publicly traded company, or even I think some private companies have employee stock plans, but we'll get into that later. If you work at a publicly traded company, a lot of times, actually pretty much always, you can participate in the employee stock plan, which is basically you can buy shares of the company, and you can buy shares over the course of a year or two. And usually there's some pretty good incentives. For example, like if the stock price goes down a lot, there's like a floor, so like you're protected from a big loss if the stock goes down, which is cool. But the reason this is a bad idea is because you're basically putting too many eggs in the same basket. You're putting both investment money and your source of income in the same basket, which is the company you work for. So if the company hits a rough patch and you get laid off, there's a high probability that the stock is also going down a lot. And there's also the probability that that stock floor for the company stock cannot be fulfilled if you leave the company or if they're hitting a really hard time. In the other respect, if the company's doing poorly and the stock price goes down a lot, that could also affect your job. Like you could get demoted, or you could also get laid off. So they trend the income source and the investment trend too closely. There's not diversity. So that's one reason I think it's a very bad idea to invest in the employee stock plan. And I remember hearing this. I got this idea from a project manager a few years ago when I was on site. And I guess I asked him if he was in the stock plan, and he said no, and he explained. So I'm just imparting this onto you guys. However, if your company has an employee stock plan that isn't voluntary, for example, if they just give you stock and there's no buy-in from you, you should do that because there's no risk. You're not taking any money out of your income to go buy that stock. So if you have that option, if your company does that, I would definitely do that because you can always sell the stock a few years later. Usually they have limits on how long you need to keep it, so you might have to keep it for a year or 5 years. But once that period is up, you can always go and sell it and get your money out of that basket. If your company does that and they just give you stock, just go ahead and do that. If there's no buy-in, you don't have to spend any of your own money on it, definitely do that. And I think a lot of startups do that. I'm not sure, I don't know if many big companies do that. Startups do that because generally the stock price is pretty low and they're expecting to grow a lot. Big companies generally, because startups, they can give you a good deal on it right now, and then the value gets higher later, in theory. So they're giving you a good deal, and it keeps everybody happy. The startup gets to not spend too much money on the stock that it gives you, but then it's also worth a lot more to you later, hopefully. Bigger companies that don't have that high growth trajectory generally aren't going to give you free stock. It'll be an optional program where you have to buy into it with pre-tax money. So if your company offers this, make sure to read the fine print. If there's any stock floors or anything, any protections. If there's not, definitely I would never ever touch that. Even if there is, I would be very careful about participating in an employee stock plan. And if you decide to do it, I would just put a tiny bit of your income in there, like 1 or 2%. Don't get crazy. And you really got to make sure that the growth trajectory is promising. Another reason people participate in stock plans is because, in theory, if you put in more work to your job, your company's going to do better, and it's going to reflect in the stock price. This works for small companies where you can actually make a difference, and it allows employees to have more skin in the game, if you will. Once you get to companies that are over 100 or 500, 1,000 people, your impact on the company is so minuscule that it's not even like you have skin in the game. You're subject to whatever market forces are impacting the company. If you're at your 40,000 person company and you think by buying stock options you're gonna have more skin in the game, you're not really gonna. It's not like your work's gonna show through in the stock price. Obviously, you're one person out of 40,000, unless you're like the senior sales director or someone really high up. You're not gonna have a big impact. Because I actually did this with my previous company, and I think it was 2015. They started it. They did it every 2 years, but I started in 2015, and the stock went up a little bit over a few months, and then it just went down, 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 down. Of course, I was working at a big company, and the group I was with wasn't really affected by what caused the stock price to go down in the first place, so I wasn't worried about losing my job or anything. But it was lame to see the stock price go down after they sold everybody on participating in this optional employee stock program. So I think the term was 2 years. I was supposed to do it for 2 years. I ended up cashing out after a year at the floor level of the stock price. So I didn't make any money whatsoever. If your company has an employee stock plan, comment down below. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are about it. Is it an employee stock plan that's voluntary? Do they just give you stock? Are you participating in it? Are you thinking about participating in it? Let me know the details of it. I'd love to hear what you think about your company's employee stock plan down below in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope this was useful in some way. If you like the video, subscribe. I'll be making stuff like this all the time. I hope I gave you some good ideas for how to evaluate your employee stock plan if your company has one. Just be a little skeptical, really weigh the pros and cons. Honestly, it's probably just better to invest that money that you would put in the employee stock plan into an index fund or an ETF or something, just for diversity. Because if you're putting money into your employee stock plan, there's no diversity there, because you're earning your income from that company and then you're investing in that company. So it's like a double whammy of putting too many eggs in one basket. It's just not, you need to stay diverse. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I hope you found it useful and insightful in some way. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. If you have any thoughts about it, leave a quick little comment down below. I'd love to hear it. I respond to every comment. Love to get a conversation started with you. Until next time, this is Ian from Money Talks.